is 6:37. I'm calling the Whitemarsh Township Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just letting you all know ahead of the meeting that Vince Manuel is on vacation, so he's not with us tonight. I want to start with some commendations. The Board of Supervisors, together with the Environmental Advisory Board, is pleased to present the first recipients of the Better Yards, Better Whitemarsh, Better Plant Recognition Award. Sandra L. Izzo, Karen Kabnick, and Eli Glick are being recognized for their demonstrated commitment to environmental stewardship. Through their efforts to plant native species, control invasive plants, increase habitat, adopt sustainable yard care and gardening practices, and thoughtfully manage water, they have each made a meaningful contribution to the health and beauty of our community. On behalf of the Board of Supervisors and the Environmental Advisory Board, we congratulate this year's recipients and thank them for helping make Whitemarsh a healthier, greener, and better place to live. I have some certificates, some frame certificates for each of you, and some stakes for your yards. So Karen Kabnick, would you like to come up? Sandra Izzo? And Eli Glick. Eli? Okay. All right. Do you want to come up and we can get a picture and give you a full round of applause?
That's okay.
Yeah, come on up. Sandra, you want to come up? This is your stake also. Yeah, this is your stake.
Very good. Congratulations.
It's an exciting program, and we hope to be delivering many more of those as the years go by. Thank you all for your efforts. Moving along, do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from July 9th as presented?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I am going to hand it over to Auditor Tim Mara from Zelenkowski Axelrod LLC to give us the 2025 financial audit overview.
Thank you for having me this evening. Can you guys hear me all right?
Is that on, Tim?
Yeah. I'm going to check.
Yeah. Okay. How's that, better?
I don't know if you can get any closer to it.
I don't know if I can. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me this evening. My name is Tim Mira. I'm with GA, Auditors of the Township, here to present the results of the 2025 audit. We are expressing an unmodified opinion on the Township's 2025 financial statements. What this essentially is saying is that the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. As part of our annual audit, we're required to assess the Township's internal controls. If we do identify any deficiencies in that process, not only will we make you aware at that time, we'll issue a SAS 115 or a management letter identifying those deficiencies. We did not identify any deficiencies in management's internal control process, so there's no management letter that we're issuing as part of our 2025 audit. Some of the financial results as a result coming out of the 2025 audit. The township's governmental activities is on the full accrual basis of accounting, so it includes your capital assets, long-term liabilities, your pension and such. ended the year with a net position of $65.8 million. The 65.8 is comprised of net investment in capital assets of $44.8 million, restricted of $21.9 million, and an unrestricted deficit of $1 million. This is a $9 million increase in the fund balance or the net position from the prior year, so that's positive. For the governmental funds, so on the modified accrual basis of accounting, so it does not take on those long-term assets, those long-term liabilities that would have been in the governmental activities previously. Governmental funds ended the year with a fund balance of $39.5 million. This is a $7.3 million increase from the prior year. That 39.5 is comprised of non-spendable of $12,000, restricted of 21.9, committed fund balance of $438,000, and unassigned fund balance of $17.1 million. Some fund highlights from the governmental funds. Your open space fund ended the year with a $14.5 million fund balance, which is a $3.6 million increase from the prior year. The refuse fee fund ended the year with a fund balance of $253,000, which is an increase of $120,000. And then the special revenue funds, the non-major funds, ended the year with a fund balance, a collective fund balance of $5.7 million, which is a $183,000 decrease from the prior year. On to the general fund, which is the main operating fund of the township. This is where most activity happens. The general fund ended the year with a fund balance of $17.3 million, which is a $4.2 million increase from the prior year. That's positive. That 17.3 is comprised of non-spendable of $12,000, committed of $438, and the residual 16.9 is sitting in your unassigned fund balance to be used for general government services as the township wishes. The general fund ended the year with total revenues of $24.6 million, which is $4.7 million over budget. Some drivers for the over budget were the earned income tax and business taxes, both $1 million over budget. Grants came in 1.2, and then license and permits were roughly $480,000 over budget. Total expenditures of the fund were $20.3 million, which is $3.2 million over budget. And some of the drivers were just public safety, which came in $2.3 million over budget, which is mainly driven by the insurance, allocation of insurance costs. During the year, the township adopted GASB 102 in their financial statements. The adoption of GASB 102 did not have any impact on the financial statements. And then some pending GASBs going forward were GASB 103, 104, and 105, all with 2026 year adoptions. So that'll be in the township's next year financial statements. I don't see any significant changes that'll happen as a result of that, but we'll certainly work with Angela and the team, Terry and them, to get those implemented, right appropriately. So, and I do just want to thank Angela and Terry. I know Angela, this was her first year through the audit, and it was a really smooth transition. It was really great working with her. So it went well from our perspective. So I'll open it up if there's any questions.
Thank you. Is there any board comment or questions? Is there any public comment? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
So I'm going to hand it over to Beth Moy for a moment for the announcements. I skipped over that part, so we're going to let her do that, and then we'll move on. Beth?
Thanks, JC. The summer entertainment schedule continues on Wednesday, August 19th, 2026, with a children's concert at Miles Park Pavilion at 6 p.m. A special thank you to Slavic Orthodontics for sponsoring all the summer entertainment events this year. The playground surface at Kuntz Park will be replaced with wood carpet fiber matting starting on August 24th, 2026. The playground will be closed during the time of installation. Thank you all for your patience while we perform this necessary project. This year's leaf collection will begin on Monday, October 26th through Friday, December 11th. The township offices will be closed on Monday, September 7th to observe Labor Day. Please all have a safe holiday weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Moving on, we're going to go down to the Deer Cull program for 2026. I'm going to invite
We have the police
Carmen.
plan first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm I'm sorry. All right, the Whitemarsh Police Plan, the investment policy, addendum update. Donald Grant, please, from PFM Asset Management.
Good evening, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yes.
By way of quick introduction, my name is Don Grant. I am with PFM Asset Management. We are the discretionary investment manager for the police pension plan for Whitemarsh Township, and I serve as the relationship manager. We meet typically quarterly here in the back room there. From our meetings, we have done quite a bit of analysis internally with our firm, and it's been probably about a decade since we've made any strategic updates to any of our clients' investment policy statements. A lot of things have structurally changed in the investment markets as we think about the increased volatility, especially since after COVID and things of that nature, where we've thought about what are ways that we can increase or decrease volatility in our clients' portfolios, including yours, by instituting a couple of extra strategic asset classes into your investments. When I say strategic, what I mean by that is at any given time, we try to target a particular amount of the assets in that particular asset class with a little bit of variability around there so we can tactically overweight or underweight asset classes where we find market dislocations and the ability to potentially increase investment returns while decreasing volatility. With that being said, if you take a look at what's on the screen here, that appears to be the addendum. So the main piece I want to focus on here is the addition of 3 asset classes. Under fixed income, you see non-investment grade with all the way to the right a target of 3%. That's just another way of saying high yield investments, or investments that generally have a higher interest yield than you would say the investment grade bonds. But they're not bonds and companies that are particularly failing or anything of that nature. These names are probably familiar to you. Certain airlines fall into that category. Certain rental car companies fall into that category as well. So having a dedicated allocation there would be very helpful. Why is that the case? So with high yield investments, that particular asset class has expanded over the years. It currently stands at about $1.4 trillion nationwide, and that's 10% of the investment grade universe, which is roughly $11.4 trillion. So with that size, we felt it necessary to make a dedicated allocation there when we think about your portfolios. The next 2 asset classes are going to be under listed real assets. So that's listed real estate investment trusts at 3% and listed infrastructure at 3%. This is more of a diversifying type of strategy than anything else. The intent here is not to gain more investment returns over a period of time while taking on more risk, but the intent here is to dial down the volatility in your police pension plans portfolio. Why does that matter? Investment volatility can be painful at times. There are cash flow needs in the plan as well, and that also plays into the actuarial valuation of the plan, and also plays into the MMO that gets paid into the plan. So it also helps from a strategic budgeting and planning perspective as well. These 2 asset classes you're probably very familiar with, real estate investment trusts, so that's going to be buildings and things of that nature. And infrastructure is really investments in businesses and infrastructure within a country, if you will, that bodes for the benefit of society. So think railways, think airports and things of that nature, energy, healthcare, hospitals and things of that nature. Those type of asset classes tend to not be highly correlated with equities. So that's what dials down the volatility. This has been presented to the Police Pension Plan Committee and has been approved for recommendation to the board here. I would be happy to answer any particular questions that folks may have at this time.
Is there any board comment or questions?
You're curious what you're reducing to add those classes.
Very good question. So we are reducing allocations to equity assets. So we're taking a little bit from equities, domestic and international, and then putting that into listed real assets.
Pulling more from domestic and putting it into those, or more from international, or you drawing down, right?
Domestic and international.
Okay.
So as an example, as you can see, the domestic target in the draft is 36%.
Yeah.
The international equity is 18%. But looking at your current investment policy statement that's in force, I did print that out. I don't know if you have it in front of you, but the domestic equity allocation is 39%, so we're
Got it.
taking that down about 3%.
Okay,
And international equity is at 21%, so that's also coming down about
okay,
3%.
thanks.
I just have a question about REITs, real estate investment trusts.
Absolutely.
I understand that post-COVID, people are moving out of office spaces. A lot of office spaces are being sold to do other things. I guess, can you talk a little bit about how adding that to the portfolio is actually going to help it perform better?
Right. So, interestingly enough, the portfolio currently does have exposure to real estate through a private fund called Equus, Boyd Watterson as well. So those funds, interestingly enough, focus on business or real estate properties that the government, the federal government, rents out. So there's stability there,
Right.
if you will. Looking at the fund that we would use, it would be the Cohen and Steers Institutional Realty Shares.
Okay.
And there are different sectors within that asset class. And just to name off a few, so healthcare is going to be one of them, telecommunications, industrial, single-family homes, multifamily homes, apartment complexes, and things of that nature. What's unique and very beneficial from this perspective is that these investment managers, from an active management perspective, are going to avoid some of the commercial office spaces that, to your point, may be challenging. So there's value to be captured in certain parts there. It's not so much a function of just adding returns to the portfolio, but also adding to the diversification of the returns of the portfolio to dampen the volatility that we see on a quarter, a year, and a decade worth basis.
It's helpful. Thank you.
It's a good question.
Thanks.
Is there any other board comment? Is there any public comment? Tom, come on up.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
My name's Tom Dahl. A couple of questions for you.
Yes.
You mentioned volatility. What type of volatility has the plan experienced? How much assets are we talking about in the police pension fund? And what's been the rate of return on the fund? Because you can accept some volatility if you're getting the rate of return that's necessary, right? I mean, what's really the goal of the policy? And also one little bit of Waldo in this thing. I noticed that Australia is spelled incorrectly. Never heard of that country.
I understand. I wasn't prepared to talk specifically on market values and specific performance, so I don't have the performance report in front of me right now. I don't know if you have that available right now to speak to that, but what I can speak to on a broader level is this. The goal in the entire plan, when you put together your investment policy, when you put together the asset allocation for the portfolio, is to meet or exceed your actuarial discount rate that's set by the township. That's the entire goal. And the goal in doing that, it's not just that return, but it's doing it with the minimum amount of volatility as possible. What I mean by volatility is market returns that are significantly different than expected returns going forward. So take a year of 2022, where markets were down 17, 18%. Bonds were down similarly as well. That's a highly volatile time in the particular marketplace. So you want to dampen that volatility. So instead of seeing, let's say, 15 or 20% downward returns in a particular portfolio, you can dampen that to something of maybe 7 or 8%, if you will. Why does that matter? You have cash flow needs in the police pension plan. You have liquidity needs as well. And that also feeds into the importance of the market value of the plan as well. Because if it's the funded status shifts, that's going to shift the minimum municipal obligation. That takes into account budgeting and things of that nature. So it all kind of ties in together with that. Does that help answer your question?
Well, the markets we have in 22, they recovered dramatically.
Significantly did, yes.
So if we limit the volatility so much, because you're going to hurt your future return. That's something we think.
No, we absolutely take that into account. And really the goal there is, again, it's not maximizing the total returns as possible, but getting to or around your actuarial discount rate while minimizing volatility. That's kind of the scale of weighting, if you will, to try to get to. But point taken. The other piece too, the country, so it's Australia, Asia, and it's a way that we bring in Australia and then certain Asian countries such as, well, developing Asian countries such as Japan and things of that nature. Also can take into account Taiwan, if you're thinking about emerging markets as well. So we spell it, we, the collective investment industry. Yeah, it is correct. Yeah, Australia, Asia, if you will. Kind of pull that together. There's always quirky terms in financing and investing that we like to throw out there, but not my choice, but we'll speak to it. It's good questions.
Is there any other public comment? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go down to motions. Do I have a motion authorizing the execution of the addendum to investment policy statement for the Whitemarsh Police Pension Plan as presented tonight and recommended by the Police Pension Committee?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Now I'm going to go down to the Deer Cull program for 2026, and I'm going to invite Carmen DeLello, Tom Sermani, and Mike Barkas from Delaware Valley Wildlife Management to give us an update.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Carmen DeLello, Tom Samarini, Michael Barkas. We are here tonight with a proposal to add 3 additional township parcels to the existing successful East 33 Deer Management Program. This would allow us to safely and responsibly address the township's overpopulated herd on a more widespread basis. Access to these additional areas is crucial to the overall success of the program, allowing us to manage the deer more effectively, as I said, across the township, rather than concentrating in one small corner of the township. These parcels were strategically selected because of, number one, their high deer density. Number two, they are all well-suited and fit our protocol very well. Trying to solve this township-wide deer problem by managing only a few private parcels and one township parcel, the East 33, is like trying to drain a flooded basement with a cup. You really need to broaden. We're adding additional private properties in addition to the Whitemarsh parcels. So to look at the chart, the far left, the East 33, which is in red, is currently managed. Mike Barkas is our project manager for that particular parcel. The 3 proposed the Thomas Road tract, the next one to the right, the Klein Lower, and the third, the Hamilton Drive tract. The Thomas Road tract is right off of Thomas Road. It's about 6 or 8 acres directly across the street from Whitemarsh Valley Country Club. The P in the location is where our management hunter would park. They would take a direct route to the other red dot, which is the predetermined safe zone, which is a stand location that we set up in advance. Hunters do not wander around the property. They go from the vehicle to the tree stand, hunt, back out to the vehicle. The next one, Klein Lower, the parking spot would be accessed from Cedar Grove Road. There is a tab of Whitemarsh property that comes out to Cedar Grove Road. We would drive a vehicle in, park in that single predetermined spot. Again, take a predetermined path to the tree stand location, which is set up in advance. Safe zones all marked out. Again, once the hunter leaves, they would exit the same way. The Hamilton Drive tract, that is off of Manor Road. That is a cul-de-sac. There is a kind of an odd-shaped parcel of Whitemarsh property that abuts the Union League property, which actually has a deer management program in place. So we've been told that that's a huge area of lots of deer that they can't get to. So that's why we added that. Again, we would park at the predetermined spot in the cul-de-sac, take a direct route to the tree stand, hunt, back out to the parking spot, and leave. Archery only, as it's always been. We've been doing this for, again, over 25 years. Our biggest partner is the Schuylkill Center for Environmental Education, Wissahickon Trails. We've been there for over 20 years. Just some quick numbers. In 2024, 2025, that was our first year with Whitemarsh Township. We removed 49 deer from the East 33 parcel and the adjoining Schuylkill Center. Last year, 25-26, we removed a total of 68 deer from the Whitemarsh East 33 parcel, the Schuylkill Center, and a couple small private properties around that area. A total of 117 deer in 2 years of the program. With the addition of these 3 properties, we think we could have a meaningful impact on the overpopulation within Whitemarsh Township. Be happy to answer any questions if anyone has.
Thank you. I know this is something our residents have really been asking for, and we all know it's an issue. Can you just remind us what your protocol is for choosing an area to hunt?
So basically, it needs to have accessible deer. Deer need to be in that area when we are permitted by the state of Pennsylvania Game Commission to hunt there. All of these locations harbor lots of deer. Again, we want an area that has limited public use, an area that we can discreetly get in and out of without lots of traffic seeing us, passerby seeing us. We try to avoid places that have trails that trail walkers may use. So that's how we determine a particular location.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there any other board comment or questions?
Just one. With the numbers that you gave for 24-25 and 25-26, do you have the breakdown of female versus?
I do.
Okay.
So, for example, on the East 33 parcel in 24-25, 14 female deer, 2 male deer. And that's our goal. The key to deer management is removal of the female deer. Last year, female, 11 deer, male, 3 on the Whitemarsh parcel. And if I jump in with the Schuylkill Center had last year 29 female deer removed and 4 male deer. So our primary focus is antlerless deer.
And then will you just talk a little bit about how you actually get the deer in terms of the process that the hunter goes through to actually?
Yeah, so typically we'll go to a location, we'll set out cellular cameras. So we try to determine the patterns of the deer. Most of the areas allow baiting, so we can put bait out, which kind of patterns the deer. They come into a stand location, typically the first hour after daylight, the last hour before dark. Say this was my stand location, we would may have a bait pile here, and this area here is our predetermined safe zone. So we won't shoot at a deer over here, we won't shoot at a deer back here. Deer must enter the predetermined safe zone. Once the deer enters, it's not fast, it's a process. We have to wait for the right angle. We want ethical, clean shots. Hunter takes a shot, the deer runs off a short distance, expires within 30 seconds. Hunter gets down, Hunter removes the deer, and we have a network of people who take the deer. Hunter Sharing the Harvest, which is a program for needy families. They get overwhelmed because of lots of townships are having programs like this, so lots of people are donating deer. So we have a secondary list where we have residents or people who like venison for health reasons, maybe a needy family. So we call them, they'll pick the deer up, take it to a processor, or they'll do it themselves. And lastly, we eat some ourselves. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're doing all the work.
Is there any other board comment? Is there any public comment? Come on up.
Not a comment, just a question. I'm glad to hear you're using the deer meat. Can you hear me?
Do you want Yes. to just let us know who you are?
Oh, sorry.
And your
Lisa
address?
Puser. I live in Conshohocken, Whitemarsh Township at 279 Roberts Avenue.
Thank you.
That was my question, was do you use it? I hope nothing is wasted or discarded.
Absolutely not. It actually, we even take some of the not edible parts to the Schuylkill Center's Wildlife Rehabilitation Center.
Oh, good.
Where they feed it to
Vultures and, yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, I bet. That's great. My last question is there any way that
local people could benefit from the deer meat.
Absolutely.
Have we
So
ever
use
thought
our
of that?
website, and if they would send us the name, have the public list.
Okay, because we have a food resource in Conshohocken.
Okay.
I mean, some Whitemarsh people, I'm sure, could use it too. Okay,
Yeah.
so they would have to go to your, we would have to advertise.
Send an inquiry into our website.
Okay.
And give us their information, and we'll reach out and contact them.
That would be great.
The other facility was to designate the hardest beer, take it to a local butcher, and then give them that person's rate. That person would then pay for the processing and pick it up.
Right, frozen already, right? Perfect. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Hi, Kathy Burke, Roberts Avenue. I just have a question. Do you have a map which shows all these areas in context of the entire township?
Don't, look.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so
It's spread out.
yeah, so East 33 is the bottom of Nano Road.
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with the township. That's
Okay,
why it would be helpful for me. I mean, some people are probably very familiar with all these
What we
places.
do is each of the parcels that we own, we post these
All around the property. So anyone who enters the area will see this and read the notice and realize what's going on. It explains the dates and times and everything like that. And we may change the color to a brighter orange or a green or something just to pop out. So, but that would be up to Greg and Tom if that's what you're asking.
Thank you. And it seems like a great program. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? All right, thank you so much. Oh, come on up.
Lindsay Blazninski, 252 Roberts. So I tried to Google Klein Lower because you mentioned that it's near Cedar Grove, and I'm having a tough time.
So Cedar Grove Park. If you head towards Joshua Road, that would be this area. Cedar Grove Park is over here. So Cedar Grove Road goes this way, Joshua Road goes up that way.
So it's just a small finger that comes down to Cedar Grove.
Okay. But it's not like near when you say Cedar Grove, like it's not near the park. And when I Google Klein, then Klein Park comes up when I.
Yeah, so Klein, there are no public trails within Klein, I believe. Correct. So Klein actually goes from Cedar Grove Road all the way up to Ridge Pike. It's kind of like an odd shape. So you're only seeing half of Klein there.
Okay.
It continues up. The upper end is Angela Woods development. And it kind of, I guess it's a land.
It goes all the way up to Ridge Pike, so
Yeah, so it's kind of like long and
it's
narrow.
Ridge to Cedar Grove.
Landora Glen.
Okay. But it's not near like any walking paths or parks or nothing like that from like a safety.
Yes.
Okay.
So across the street, was the Gambo Tract. That has walking trails, and that is one of the reasons we did not.
Okay. All right. Chief Ward knows how I feel about safety here, so just. All right.
Honey was Hickey Trails for years, and there are trails all throughout, and we never had one incident.
Okay.
Never had any.
I mean, I grew up in an area where like hunting's very prominent and like responsible, ethical hunting, like no problem with it. Just want to make sure from a safety perspective where.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, lots of these areas had illegal hunting going on.
Oh,
And when we started the program within these areas, that ended. They no longer show up. So residents really prefer illegal hunting go on and not us in these parcels.
okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
I talk about this parcel on Cedar Grove Road. You're mentioning Ridge Pike, but you're not mentioning Hector Street. So, are you?
Oh, ma'am, can you tell us who you are and where you live?
Oh, my name is Frances R. Barlip Whitman, and I live at 1263 Durant Street, and I've been there since September of 1964. And my father hunted in that tract pheasant, squirrel, and deer when you were allowed to. And I do not object to the weeding out of the deer because it's beautiful to see the deer. But I'm asking, is this tract between Bridge Pike, Butler Pike, whatever, is it? So does it back up to Hillcrest Avenue, which is 1 block away from Roberts Avenue?
It does not.
Okay, but it goes down to the Bubbling Spring? That's at Hector and Cedar Grove Road. And that's on the other side of the street.
Yeah, these guys.
So you're only doing the Gambone tract?
No, we're not Gambone track. So flying park track, the lower end of the bottom half.
At Cedar Grove Barn?
Yeah, not Cedar Grove Park, Cedar Grove Road.
Okay, but...
Cedar Grove Barn.
The other side of the street.
Well, Cedar Grove Barn, the barn, the park is right there on Cedar Grove Road that runs to Butler and to Hector Street.
The area that was shown when that is nowhere near that.
Okay.
So basically, I'm just going to reach up there and point.
Like I said, like Lindsay pointed out, this map is really unclear.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the Klein Lower, which is across the street.
Correct.
On the opposite side of our neighborhood.
Yep. And the hunter would be moving up into Klein, away from your neighborhood.
Away from my neighborhood. However, it's going toward the label company.
Yes, but not, the label company would be out here.
On Joshua.
Yeah, the label company, it would be
Okay.
quarter mile away.
All right. I'm just trying to understand this because the deer population under the high lines between Butler and Hector Street. And everyone knows you can't hunt back there. They've taken down all the tree stands. That's great. But if it's just strictly archery?
Strictly archery, no fire.
Strictly archery, is there a, what is it? Is there a lottery that?
No, so all hunters are by application to an organization. Most of the hunters are sent to us via revenue. It may be someone knows. Our organization is not for everyone. This is management hunting.
Oh, I understand the management hunting. I really do. I do.
The guy who's just up.
I mean, we have 8-point buck running down Wells Street to 11th Avenue, which it comes through our neighborhood, which I get it, but I just want to make sure that I'm touching the information that Lindsay is really seeking.
Yes. So yeah, it's nowhere near the area you were referring to.
Okay. Yes. So, can I sign up? Because I have plenty experience with guns and bows and arrows.
So don't worry about that.
But and I'm teaching my grandchildren how to use bows and arrows. So I agree with you. It's good, but we do need to decrease the female population. And hunting, I mean, just for a second, hunting isn't the only way. We can use the salt.
Not biological within in wide spaces.
In my short little 62 years, it does work. But I do not disagree with you.
I agree.
Yeah, I know.
And in the season, it's extremely tight.
No, and I understand that because rutting season is right around the corner. It is right around the corner, and I get that because I want to see the bucks at my front door when I walk out on my front porch.
Yeah. You know, Hi there. Hi.
This is one.
Ma'am, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to clarify.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I just wanted to make sure, if you were more than welcome to have an additional conversation with them. They're very open and willing to listen. I just want to give an opportunity to anybody else that would like to have public comment.
I just have one.
All right, and from my board member here.
Craig, will you, when we do the review after the season is over, will you make sure we get a map so that we know where all the locations are and so we can address those questions?
Yes.
Thanks.
And Craig, I can
We can get that-
explode it out a little bit
Yeah, we
prior to.
can
so-
get it together before the
absolutely.
start of the season. The
Yes.
start of the season is September 19th?
Mid-September. Yeah, yeah.
19th, I think it is.
Maybe we can
So we'll
do that
put
with
something on the website
Yeah.
for that, and it'll be under the Deer Management page on the website.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know, I've seen that in years past, and you guys do a great job with the announcement on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Moving down to motions. Do I have a motion to continue the Deer Cull program for the 2026-2027 season with Delaware Valley Wildlife Management as presented tonight?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, I'm going to move down to board public discussion items. The plan for SLD 02-26, Ratoskey Trainer, 201 Roberts Avenue, was discussed at the board's July 9th meeting, and the discussion was tabled. In order to resume discussion on the plan, the board must first remove the matter from the table, which requires a motion, a second, and a majority vote of the board. Is there a motion to remove discussion of the plan for 201 Roberts Avenue from the table? Seeing none, the matter remains on the table and will appear on the board's September 10th agenda. All right, moving on to SLD 0126, Conshohocken Public Safety Building at 1109 to 1119 Fayette Street and 1201 Butler Pike, land development waiver request. I'm going to turn it over to Charlie Guttenplan.
Thank you. This is a proposal for land development waiver for the Conshohocken Public Safety Building on Fayette, Butler Pike.
Charlie, could you move your microphone a little bit closer?
Sure. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. There we go.
There are 4 parcels involved on Fayette Street / Butler Pike. 3 of them are in Conshohocken Borough. 1 of them is in our township. And that's why we have a proposal here for a land development waiver for that. I'm sorry, I thought Karen was getting up, so Karen, if you can introduce your associate. They have a short presentation. This is before the Planning Commission in July, and the Planning Commission, after the presentation and short discussion, recommended that the land development waiver be approved. So let me just get their PowerPoint up.
All right, well, good evening. My name's John McShay. I'm an attorney with East Burn and Gray. We're the solicitors for the Borough of Conshohocken. I was going to give an overview of the plan, but Charlie did a good job there. Karen McNair is here. She's the engineer for the borough. She has a presentation. She can walk you through our plan. But as Charlie said, we were before the Planning Commission in July. We did receive a recommendation for approval of our request for a waiver. We did have a chance to review the draft resolution. Didn't raise any concerns for the borough, but happy to walk through the plan now. And I have a couple printouts of the slideshow for you guys if it's more convenient to look at it that way.
As Karen is getting ready to begin, I'll just mention that the proposed resolution, when you get to it, recommends the waiver conditioned upon getting a grading permit or earth disturbance permit. That permit is already under review.
Thank you, Charlie.
All right, thank you very much. Again, I'm Karen McNair, the Borough Engineer for Conshohocken Borough. I'm going to start with some architectural renderings of the building. So this is the view here from Fayette Street. The portion of the building that would be in Whitemarsh Township is on the left-hand side here, so that would be the bays for the fire engines. This building will also house the EMS on the right-hand side of this slide, and in the middle is facilities for those two uses, as well as community space that you'll see later in the slides. That's towards the rear of the parcel there. So this is a night view of what the parcel would look like at night with the lighting there. This is the rear of the site, so you can see that paver walkway that actually goes through the building. In addition to sidewalks on both sides of the property, there is this pedestrian access that goes through the property as well that allows for movement through the building. In the back there, we have some public spaces to allow for seating and grass areas to allow for more movement and play. And this is the inside of the building where you're walking through. It can house some features for the firehouse and EMS, but it also provides access up to that community space. And then the next few slides here are the community space. And when I say community space, that's not just meant for residents of Conshohocken Borough, that's the public, so that could be used by Whitemarsh Township residents as well. See, it's a free-flowing area where there's chairs and tables in the back. Can also be set up as more of a classroom setting with these tables and chairs towards the front end. Sorry, I'm trying to advance the slides here. Okay, well, I think that was the end of the renderings anyway. In the packet you have there, the next sheet shows you the site plan there. So you can see primarily parking is the rear of the site off of Harry Street. So there is parking in the front for emergency access, but primarily, again, parking will be in the rear of the site with access off of Harry Street. The driveways go through the site, again, the Whitemarsh parcel. Adjacent to the building, there is a full access driveway through to allow any vehicles through the site. And part of the reason why we received Shade Tree Commission waiver is because we want to keep that access fully open at all times. The landscaping was not proposed on that side, but it is within the site to provide landscaping still, but maintain that access for emergencies. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Is there any board comment or questions? Is there any public comment? Come on up.
Andrew Blazinski, 252 Roberts Avenue. I'm just trying to picture Harry Street. I think it cuts off at like 12th or 13th Street. And I think there's a cemetery.
Yes, it dead ends at the cemetery. Nothing will be touched in the cemetery.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Yes.
I don't have any connection to the cemetery, but I'm trying to picture it in my mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? All right.
Tracy, I do have a question.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Megan.
What is like the anticipated timeline for the project? And where is it within Conshahocken's jurisdiction? Like, where are they in their process? Did they approve?
Yes, it is fully approved through Conshohocken. It is by Conshohocken. Conshohocken is the applicant, so they've been leading this project the whole way through. We also are going through permitting process with PennDOT because Fayette Butler is state road. We're gaining an MPDS permit because the disturbance is over an acre. So we're through those processes. We're working through those processes for the permitting. We anticipate bidding to start in October, award then shortly thereafter, with construction hopefully starting early 2027.
Is there any other board comment? Any other public comment? All right. Come on up.
Lindsay Blesninski, 252 Roberts. Question, as it relates, you said that permitting's already has gone through with Conshohocken and the project's anticipated to start in 2027. Has there been a traffic impact study at that intersection? And can you walk us through where that traffic impact study, what intersections and what the findings were for that area?
So we are seeking a highway occupancy permit with PennDOT. I'm sorry, I can't change that slide, but the intersections that we're looking at, there would be an emergency preemption that's added at, You're doing it for me? Thank you.
It's working. I'm not sure where you want to go.
It still shows the site. So 11th and Fayette, there would be an emergency preemption. There will also be emergency preemptions inside the building to allow even faster access out of the building and turning that light to allow access. But the study is more focused on that signal based on PennDOT's requests.
Thank you. Any further public comment? All right, seeing none, I'm going to move down to resolutions. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2026-12 for SLD 01-26 for waiver of land development in Whitemarsh Township for public safety building on 1201 Butler Pike?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please
Do a roll call. Sorry about that.
Okay. Mr. McAnally, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Grifficelli?
Yes.
Ms. Trine?
Yes.
Ms. Moy?
Yes.
Chair Toll?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, motion carries. Resolution carries. I am going to turn it over to Andrew Thomas for a review of the mutual aid agreement for emergency services between Whitemarsh Township and the Borough of Conshohocken.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This agreement is just officially formalizing a written agreement that is not going to change any of the current responses that Whitemarsh does into Conshohocken and Conshohocken does into Whitemarsh Township currently. It's just to solidify it on a cohesive document so that way police, fire, EMS, emergency management, and the fire marshal and fire investigations can assist each other with an agreement, and we're covered if something happens in either municipality.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? Is there any public comment? All right, seeing none, I'm going to move down to Resolution 2026-13. Can I have a motion to consider Resolution 2026-13 approving the mutual aid agreement for emergency services between Whitemarsh Township and the Borough of Conshohocken?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. McAnally, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Grifficelli?
Yes.
Ms. Trine?
Yes.
Ms. Moy?
Yes.
Chair Toll?
Yes. Resolution carries. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve ordinance number 1058, authorizing parking restrictions during school hours on Marble Lane from Fairway Road to Dead End and Indian Guide Road from Marble Lane extending 250 feet north as advertised?
So moved.
Second.
I'm going to turn it over to Chief Ward.
So over the course of time, this area is located directly east of Plymouth Whitemarsh High School. And over time, the residents there have had complaints of parking issues during the school year with students who don't obtain parking permits from the school district, parking at this location, blocking driveways. They seem to not like curbs, so they block access through the neighborhood for emergency vehicles and things along that nature in an attempt to keep the roadway clear and open and to assist the residents who deal with this 9 months out of the year. Our traffic safety unit did a study of the area, spoke to the residents in the area, and tried to come up with a parking regulation through this ordinance that would assist in the safety and the movement of traffic through that area of the neighborhood, which again is immediately east of the high school.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any board comment or questions? Any public comment or questions? Tom, come on up.
Tom Dahl, Fairway Road. Chief, did you ask any of the people on Fairway Road? Because what will end up happening is the people that park on Marble now will come down and they'll park at the curve where Fairway curves, where it goes back towards Marquee. Because that's what they did last year. The students parked there when those signs went up. And so that roadway is going to be very narrow there, where the people, if you're trying to get up Fairway or come down Fairway. And the other issue is really somebody needs to take a look at what happens at the beginning of the school day. Because that corner where, what's that, Indian Guide Road or whatever that road is, and Marble, it's like a drop-off point for the high school because the people don't want to go into the high school to drop their children off because the traffic is so bad getting out. They can't get out. So they drop the people off there, then they go through our neighborhood, up Marianne eventually, out to Joshua Road. So my concern is that you're just going to move the parking where the kids park now, which is not good. I agree. But now you're going to put it on Fairway, and they're going to park right at the terminus there at Marble and Fairway on both sides of the road like they did last year or whenever those signs went up. So you really need to take a look at that too. Maybe it's okay to try it and see what happens.
Well, we didn't put any signs up, so I don't know what you refer to.
There's 2 hour parking signs there.
Okay, there's 2 hour parking signs that have been there unordained. They were put up 25 years ago without ordinance. We've not put any new signs. We actually removed some signs until we can get the ordinance in place. And we're aware there's going to be some reaction to this happening, and when we see what that is, we'll have to take the action, but we don't know what that reaction is going to be. I don't mean to be rude, but our high school students are somewhat lazy. They don't like to go further and walk further, but that's a different comment. And as for people driving on the roadways, the public roadways in the neighborhood, dropping their children off, there's no regulation you can set against that. Public roads, properly registered vehicles, nothing we can do about that. If you want to, that's where you want to drop your child off to walk, there's no enforcement that we can do to that.
It's just dangerous. Because some kids walk to school there, and what I'm concerned about is people come down Fairway Road, they come down that road too fast as it is. Now you're going to have cars parked on both sides of the street. And there's no room for either car to go, so it's a game of chicken as to which car is going to go first.
And if this ordinance passes and when we put the signs in, if there's a negative...
Well, it's going to pass. They're going to pass it.
If there's a negative reaction to that, we'll study that and react to that.
Okay. That's all I asked.
We should also surmise that they park it. We're not going to what if.
Thank you.
We're just going to move the problem down, that's all.
Is there any other public comment? Oh, Patrice?
Chief, I have a question. With respect to the traffic coming in and out of the high school, can you talk a little bit about, are there usually officers there helping to control people getting in and out during the beginning of the school day, if you will?
At the beginning of the school day and the end of the school day, we do have a traffic detail there. In the morning, they don't all come in at the same time, so we're not normally doing as much traffic control. In the afternoon, they have a dismissal time. We try to be there, especially to get the buses out, because those buses go and deliver those children home, and then they return to other schools to continue the process. So we're trying to move that along. But in the morning, we don't do as much traffic control normally because it's more sporadic. Okay. But we are there and we do monitor. During the beginning of the school year, we specifically go to our school zones, our school areas, and try to put more people in that, more officers in that area to enforce the school zone speed limit, and to check how things are moving through the neighborhood, all of our schools.
And then with respect to Tom's question about
Fairway.
What would trigger you to do, the police department, to do a traffic study over there? Like how long after if we put the signs up, how long after that they go up, would it make sense to try to do a traffic study if that would be warranted?
We would wait, we wouldn't do it the first day. We'd want to wait and see what the reaction is and wait till the water finds its level, and then we would go in, but we will be monitoring it because we're aware that we're creating a change in that area, and then we'll see what the reaction is. It might not be there. It could be Colony and Mayflower. It could be Schoolhouse and media. We'll
So
wait.
You'll
We'll evaluate.
have the officers.
Yeah, our traffic safety guys and our regular officers will be out there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, Patrice, part of the problem, I think, too, is there's supposed to, maybe Chief can answer this question, too. Wasn't there supposed to be a light at the corner of where, was that Colonial Drive that comes out to Flowertown? Where the traffic, because you can't make a left there. I walk my dog there in the morning.
It's coming, Tom.
It's coming?
It's coming.
Well, it's been supposed to be coming for the last 3 years. When's it
We're
coming?
getting closer.
It's taking longer than expected, but it is coming.
We really need a light there, for that left-hand turn traffic. It's very dangerous.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? All right. Come on up.
Lindsay Blesninski, 252 Roberts Avenue. Chief Ward, you talked about, with traffic safety with the upcoming school year starting, that there's going to be more presence, right? Can the township talk me through what type of communication is going to be broadcasted out? What channels? How could it be a little bit more effective? Because I think, Chief Ward, you and I have talked about this in the past with the campaigns, and I don't know if it's out there on a broader scope for folks, and what can the community do to help support this and partner with you to make it a safer school year. There's definitely concerns in our neighborhood, especially when there's traffic accidents. When I always know when there's an accident on the PA Turnpike, because people will cut through the Cedar Heights neighborhood, and we've talked about it before, where Wells was never designed to be a cut through, but it is, and that is something. And again, something I don't know if it's been looked at, but Wells is the bus stop. So there's active bus stop loading and unloading, and when there's accidents and there's not police present, there's no extra support when there's accidents, and I get the emergency responders have to respond to the accidents, but what can we do as a community to make it safer? I don't know if it's moving the bus stop to a safer intersection, but there also are some concerns with some proposed projects in our neighborhood. But seeing the people fly by active school bus traffic, even with the stop signs that have been added, just some real concerns when it comes to traffic and safety in the upcoming school year.
I'm not exactly sure of the question. When the school year starts, we as the township publicize that. The school districts, the schools. Unfortunately, AAA doesn't do it as much as they used to, but we're out there and we try to be in the school zones, very conscious of the school bus stops. But you also have to be conscious that in 15 square miles with 36 police officers, there's only so many places we can be. We respond and react to the complaints and the knowledge that we have. We know the school's there and it's going to be open, so we start there. All of our schools. And people may not be aware of how many schools we actually have in the township, from Germantown Academy out in Fort Washington to the AIM Academy down on the river. We try to monitor all of them and we get the word out. And we try to announce some things, we don't announce other things on purpose. I mean, we're out there as best we can. And where there's problems and we receive complaints, we address them as best we can.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? So here's my question. Right now, we are looking at an ordinance that's specific to 2-hour parking in a specific area. If your comment is a wider comment, because I know that there are a lot of people here that have public comment tonight. So if you want to do public comment at the end so that we can address this specific ordinance and then we can move forward, I'm happy to have that public comment and public comment period. Thank you. Craig, is it a roll call for the ordinance? That's what I thought.
We have a motion and a second already, so.
Yes, we do.
We'll go, Ms. Griffin-Shelley,
Yes.
Ms. Tereen,
Yes.
Ms. Moy,
Yes.
Chair Toll.
Yes. Ordinance passes. All right. We are going to move down to, do I have a motion authorizing the advertisement for a public hearing for an ordinance amending the text of the zoning ordinance to regulate data centers and provide associated definitions as recommended by the Planning Commission?
So moved.
Second.
I am going to turn it over to Charlie Gutenplan.
Thank you very much. As you can see from the information in your packet, the Planning Commission has been very active over the past couple of months working on this ordinance. It was been drafted with our consultant from Montgomery County Planning Commission, and it's based on a couple of major source documents, but one of the major ones is a joint document that was authored by Chester County Planning Commission and Montgomery County Planning Commission, and that document researched and discussed all the various impacts that a community should look at for data centers and how they should regulate them in an ordinance. So that was a very major input into this, as well as the experience that the County Planning Commission has in drafting ordinances throughout the county. It was reviewed in July by the Planning Commission and again 2 nights ago by the Planning Commission at their August meeting, and they, both meetings, recommended approval of the ordinance and recommended that this board authorize a public hearing so that we could seek to adopt the ordinance. The ordinance provides for data centers as conditional uses in the township's various industrial districts, but there are very specific locational criteria. So not every site in every industrial district would qualify for a data center. The ordinance looks at all the various impacts that have to be considered. It requires various studies as part of a conditional use application, and we'll go into greater detail when we have the public hearing. But it is a very comprehensive ordinance, and one of the major factors in the ordinance is something called sensitive receptors, and those determine where within the industrial districts a data center might be able to be sited. And sensitive receptors include things like residential districts, residential uses, institutional uses that have a residential component, community centers like the buildings at both Miles Park and the other parks in the township, and various other schools, daycare centers, etc. So the ordinance requires that there be a 500-foot buffer from each of those and any of those sensitive receptors. So that limits the areas within the industrial districts that may be eligible for a data center. And the ordinance also stipulates that the lot size for a data center would be that which is normally required in the particular industrial districts, except if it's over 100,000 square feet, then the minimum lot size becomes 5 acres. And there are various other buffers and safeguards within the ordinance. Tim Conecci from the Montgomery County Planning Commission would be available for the public hearing, and he would go through the ordinance in more detail and explain how the sites have been analyzed based on sensitive receptors and other qualifications. So what we're asking for tonight is authorization to advertise that hearing, and we'd like to, if it's authorized, advertise it for your September 10th meeting.
Thank you, Charlie. Is there any board comment?
I have a question, Charlie. When it's advertised, how is that done? Where specifically does it get advertised, and what's that process?
It's advertised 2 consecutive weeks in the Times Herald. There'll be a summary of the ordinance, and the Times Herald will have the full ordinance if someone wants to go there and review it. It will also be at the Law Library of Montgomery County for the full time that it's advertised. Also, the full ordinance will be there for people to look at, and it will be available here at the Township Building.
Is there any other board comment? Is there any public comment? Come on up.
Kathy Burke, Roberts Avenue. First of all, thank you for proactively, because my understanding is we don't have any data centers proposed in the township at this time. And I heard Charlie mention that the ordinance would be available at the Montgomery Bar Library?
At the Montgomery County Law Library.
Oh, Law Library?
Yeah,
And
it's in
then
one Montgomery
here at the
Plaza.
Township Building?
Yes.
And did you say the Times Herald?
Yes.
Where are their offices?
They're in Norristown.
Oh, I thought they got knocked down.
But the ordinance will be here.
It will be here. How large is it? Because I don't know that I could sit and read that sort of a thing.
It's like 18 pages.
It can
or
be
something.
copied.
Oh, okay, so I could get a copy of it.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Copy.
Thank you.
Hi, Lisa Puser, Roberts Ave. I've been attending the meetings for the proposed data center in Conshohocken, and two of my concerns, I wonder if you know offhand if they've been addressed in your proposal. And again, thank you for getting out front of it. Emissions
They are being considered in the ordinance, yes.
levels that would increase carbon dioxide, et cetera. Diesel-fired backup generators and the noise from that.
Yes, the ordinance requires that other options be explored before diesel generators are put in place.
Okay, good. Okay, well, I'll just have to read it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Is there any other public comment?
Hi, my name is Kevin Burke, 221 Roberts. Going to the other question, Charlie, why can't the ordinance be available on the website, available electronically, so that we can get a broad range of use for it?
It will be on the website when it's advertised for the public hearing.
Okay, good. I didn't hear that earlier. Thanks.
Is there any other public comment? Any other board comment? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the execution of the 3 revised county trail amendments and 2 school district amendments pertaining to the Whitemarsh Foundation, Angus, and Sheep Tract?
So moved.
Second.
Dave Sander.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This arises out of a lawsuit between the county and the Whitemarsh Foundation. The county wishes to install its countywide trail. There are declarations and easements that are in place that do not allow that over property owned by the foundation. As part of the lawsuit, and it took several years to get together and figure it out, but they managed to figure it out. It makes provision for these trails. It amends 3 different declarations or documents pertaining to the county trail amendments. The school district, which is also a part of these declarations, as is the township, which is why we're considering this tonight, asked to have a couple other amendments made to Sheep Tract and Angus Tract documents as well, in order for them to sign off on the county trail amendments. So everybody agreed that while we're at settling these things and amending these declarations, that we might as well entertain the school district's wishes. Basically, it reaffirms that the school district is a party to these declarations for the Angus and Sheep Tracts. So if the board's of a mind, and it has made a motion already, to approve the execution of these, I believe we are the last of the parties, county, foundation, school district, to be considering these. All the others have signed them, and they're waiting for our approval of these. There is no tangible impact on Whitemarsh Township. This is only because we're a party to the declarations.
Thank you, Dave. Is there any board comment or questions? Is there any public comment? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion approving the Jackson Drive Stormwater Improvements Change Order Number 1 in the amount of $12,517.30?
So moved.
Second.
Krista.
Thank you. As mentioned, this is change order number 1 for the Jackson Drive Stormwater Improvements Project, which was a significant stormwater infrastructure project that was recently completed on Jackson Drive across the street. The result would be an increase to the contract of $12,517.30. And much of the result of this is due to some improper markouts by the utility providers, where we weren't expecting to find utilities and put shovels in the ground, and there they were. So we had to reroute things along the way. There were other reductions, but the net was $12,517.30. So we're hoping you will approve that change order so we can close out the contract.
Thank you, Krista. Is there any board comment? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve escrow lease number 2 for 401-433 Washington Street in the amount of $292,022.78?
So moved.
Second.
Krista.
Thank you again. This is partial release number 2 for 401-433 Washington Street, which is the large apartments and some townhomes in the front along Washington. Mostly the project's located in Conshohocken, but there's a small part that is within Whitemarsh. Our office has inspected the site and found the improvements to have been constructed in accordance with the plans, and we are recommending the approval of release number 2 for $292,022.78. And following this release, there would be $987,983.48 remaining in escrow.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion approving the Certificate of Appropriateness for installation of siding at 3068 Butler Pike, located in the Plymouth Meeting Historic District?
So moved.
Second.
Charlie.
Thank you. This was discussed by Harb at their meeting yesterday. The location of this is on the screen. It's basically, if you know where Catherine Lane is, at the very end of it, there is their large detention basin. This backs up to the detention basin and fronts on Butler Pike. It's an approximate 100-year-old house. And there's a couple of photographs of it. You can see that on these photographs that the siding, I'm trying to find a good one or a bad one. The siding, which is old cedar siding, is very deteriorated, so they want to change it to cement board siding. Every place that there is white siding on the building now will be new white cement board siding. It was an unofficial recommendation of HARB to approve the certificate of appropriateness because we did not have a quorum at the meeting. And the only other action that was discussed by HARB and recommended for approval was the, again, hard to find on the right pictures, but part of the roof, like you see here, the standing seam red roof, will be recoated again as a red standing seam roof. And HARB had no issues with what the applicant was proposing and recommended approval.
Thank you, Charlie. Is there any board comment? Any public comment? Come on up.
Sorry, I know it's late. Everybody's getting tired. Lisa Puser, Roberts Ave. I used to rent that house from Dr. Corson, and like 80, 100 years ago when it was first built, it was a toll booth, we were led to believe, on Butler Pike there. So I just thought that was kind of cool.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Thank
according to the public records, it was built in 1827.
Wow.
Wow.
I had no idea. Is there any other public comment? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion approving the financials for July 2026 with expenditures of $1,515,270.09 and payroll totaling $1,239,730.21?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any board comment? Any public comment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Before I open the floor to public comment, I know there are several of you that want to speak, and I just want to make sure that everyone, just a reminder about our 3-minute rule. I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to speak, and that this is indeed public comment. So I'm opening it up to public comment.
So, hello, Lisa Puser, Roberts Ave. I wanted to comment about the house proposal at 201 Roberts, the triplex they're talking about. Our community, I didn't prepare a speech or anything, but I have several serious concerns to me anyway. Our community are single-family homes. Obviously, we'd like to keep it that way. If he had even gone for a duplex, that might have worked. But the fact that he's jamming 3 homes, and there are 3-bedroom homes in there, really is a concern. For traffic, we have many, many young families with, young families with young kids in our area in Cedar Heights there. They walk dogs, people are out a lot. That's a concern. Also, I had a sewage backup 2 times over the last 17 years in my home, and at the last meeting, I think it was July, I found out other people in my community have had that happen also. So I'm wondering if you add 3 homes with 3 bedrooms, all those people, 3 to 5, 6 people per home, what that would do to our systems. I guess that's it. Just very concerned about some things, and I hope that our concerns will be considered. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there any other public comment? Come on up.
I have some additional information to accompany what I gave to you before. Is that okay?
We can't accept anything today, thank you.
Okay, well, I have documentation if you need it.
Thank you.
Okay, so my name's James Pickle. I'm a resident of Whitemarsh Township, 198 East North Lane. I've been a resident for over 30 years, and I would like to thank all of the concerned residents and friends that are helping to protect our community. I'm speaking tonight regarding 201 Roberts Avenue in Cedar Heights. the zoning officer has claimed that grandfathering the commercial use is legal, but he chose to ignore any precedent or standards in making that decision. None whatsoever, and we have provided a mountain of evidence to the contrary. The township and Mr. Gutenplan attempted the same actions during the sale of the Lincoln Firehouse. The residents objected, and since no fire-related activity could be proven for 1 year, the deal fell apart and the township changed the zoning from commercial to residential. This is clear precedent only 100 yards away. So in 2015, after the Lincoln Firehouse showdown, the township adopted ordinance number 951 that changed any non-conforming commercial CRH properties to be residential. And this is documents that I gave you before. Section 3 states, all ordinances, resolutions, and regulations inconsistent with this ordinance are hereby repealed. That was the whole intent of this move, was to keep us from being in this situation that we're in now. All Charlie had to do was to say to Mike Gould, the seller, that, I'm sorry, this previous precedent for, there was no proof for 1 year, that, I'm sorry, we can't produce, because you can't show that there's been any commercial activity in your property for over 3 years. All he had to say that, and then Mike would have said, okay, then the commercial would go away, and it'd be residential. You wouldn't have all these angry residents, rightfully angry residents, and you'd be having a builder begging for the 10 variances that they need for a single-family home, which is the way it should be. So, moving on. So, not only did they, Mr. Gutenplan and Mr. Fury choose to ignore these things, they actually attempted to conceal this in writing, this information, when I requested it formally. And I don't think that's proper. Truthful people do not do that. And you saw the documentation for it, too. So we've proven in many meetings that there was no commercial activity for more than 3 years following the death of Ingram Gould. No business fee or local business taxes were paid from 2019 on. Now, the zoning people say, oh, well, just appeal it. Just pay, $10,000 to $100,000 to appeal it. Like, this is real easy. But it's so hard, as you know, to turn this kind of thing around. And we've, from day one, had a lot of evidence that what they did was not right. So Mr. Gutenplan and Mr. Fury clearly had no right to grandfather the commercial status. So now we have a little bit more history on the current request of the multi-unit. I'm trying to give you this is a very long process. I'm trying to help you understand the documentation that I gave you, because I didn't have any time last time. So in a letter dated August 13th, 2024, from the builder's lawyer, Gerald Rath, he claims 3 non-conforming uses and argues that a multi-unit apartment building can be considered. Now, Mr. Gutenplan knows that any multi-unit plans should go before the Planning Commission first, before any approvals. He decided to approve it first, and then what use is the Planning Commission when it's already been decided, and they have no power to turn it around? And he knew that fully well. So he approved the multi-unit plan days before ordinance number 1045 was adopted by the township on November 14th, 2024. The new rules would never allow a multi-unit building in this location. And also, I have documentation of some interesting campaign finance that may be a bit of a conflict of interest that you can review later. So in a right to know request, I asked exactly when Mr. Gutenplan granted the change in non-conforming use. He and the lawyer replied, your request has been denied under the attorney-client privilege work product exemption, some numbers, which exempts notes prepared by an agency employee for their own personal use. I was not asking for his personal notes. I was asking for when he made the declaration. You should be signing something, I presume, when you grant permissions. I believe we have every right to know when a public official makes a decision that affects our welfare. And how would you feel if you got that reply? I mean, this is what I've gotten the whole way through. And I know Charlie doesn't seem like that, there's like a different Charlie or something, and this is through the lawyer too, because he always says I have to take it to legal. I'm sorry, I'm going to move on. So in a zoning hearing, Matt Hollenbach asked for proof of the commercial greenhouse use, and of course we were ignored. Local residents verified that no commercial greenhouse business had taken place, only retail florist sales. This made the three-use claim invalid. So the whole multi-unit thing is actually invalid. They did not bother to verify any of those facts. So I'm flabbergasted at the extent of the intentional misconduct on the part of Mr. Gutenplan and Mr. Fury, and I find it to be unacceptable. You have the documents. This is not just hearsay. And it's obvious that decisive measures need to be taken to restore our faith in the zoning department, because we have very little right now. This is getting down to the end now, and I know it's difficult for you, and I know some of you have come in through this midstream, but I've made every attempt to notify the board of the ongoing thing early on, when it would have been easier to turn this around. And it will be very obvious to us, with your response or lack of, it will be very clear to, whether you're choosing to be part of this problem or the solution to it. I know it's difficult for you. It's been very difficult for us. And the evidence, I think, makes it very clear. And I don't think misconduct is acceptable. And for someone to say, as zoning says, that this ruling stands, when you have misconduct on top of it, I think the ruling does not stand. It certainly won't stand in a court of law. Am I allowed to give this information? Next, when? September 10th?
Being discussed by the board,
This will be on the agenda at
I
our
can
next
get it to
meeting.
you some other way. Okay, thank you for your
Thank you for your comment.
Hi, Kathy Burke, Roberts Avenue. I know you said when it's actually on the agenda to discuss, but every time things are on the agenda to discuss, we are limited to what we are allowed to say. We are objected to at zoning board hearings. I understand that, but last time we were here, we were told the only thing we could discuss was the waivers before the board. So the stuff that Jamie is talking about, and the stuff that Lisa has mentioned, and the things that I said last meeting that were not included in the minutes. I spoke during public comments on this topic, and none of it was included in the minutes, which I didn't realize until a little short time before this meeting tonight. I sent all of you an email. I included you, Mr. McNally, and in there I had my public comments that I made because I had prepared and read from them. But it wasn't even included in the minutes, and we all know that the minutes of these meetings is the official record of these meetings. So if anybody wants to look back to see what happened and what decisions were made and who made them, there's no context for what this group of people in our neighborhood has been going through since July of 2024 with this development plan. So I just want to get that, and I'm trying not to get angry because I know it's not you. I know that you guys aren't the ones that are deciding what goes in the minutes and what's omitted from the minutes, but it is quite frustrating to see and know that you stayed till the very end of the meeting so that you could put things on the record that you were told you couldn't put on the record when the item was being discussed, and then to have it not included in the minutes. It's quite frustrating. So I appreciate that you guys listen to us, and that's really all I wanted to say. I have copies of my comments that I made at the last meeting, which I would be happy to provide to all of you. I also emailed a copy of them to all of you and included Mr. McNally on that email.
Thank you for your comment.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment?
I do have a few things.
Come on up.
I tried to save it so I'm going to probably go a few other places too. Lindsay Blazninski, 252 Roberts Avenue. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for the data center ordinance. I was at the planning meeting along with my husband. So getting in front of that does feel good. I would like it to go on public record that if something, and I'll save it for that meeting as well, but where, carbon zero, there's places on this planet that are doing that right and well, that serve a community,
and then you see that the other side of it where there's not an ordinance in place, and the highly litigious society that we live in, and what is occurring, and how community members are giving up so much of their free time to like protect their community and have their voice heard. So I appreciate everyone trying to get in front of that for so many different reasons on that front. Chief Ward, thank you for your time with the traffic safety and the school bus. I just wanted, the one extra comment was, in addition to like website, social media things, has it been considered maybe some ITS messaging boards throughout the community that like might alert, or some different signage? I know that might be something that the transportation traffic engineers, like what can we do to actually get in front of people that are actually traveling, right? Those ITS message boards are effective. I remember when the Pope came to Philadelphia, they were like all the way out in Pittsburgh. So there are solutions. I think if we could be collaborative and work together on something like that to make our community safer. And I do respect, all the schools in the township. I work currently doing a contract with schools, and I pass several schools, and I know it's a big, big job to get these kids safely in the building, protect them all day, and get people, safe home. So I appreciate what you and your officers do. Awesome. Thank you, Chief Ward. You heard from the neighbors, the concern where things have gone on the meeting, said there was going to be a vote, then it wasn't. So in full transparency, I think there's a lot of folks that came tonight less than last night at the zoning hearing board, just to make sure that the right thing happened, not saying that it wouldn't with this particular board, but there has been things, and the one thing that I couldn't find in my research, and I know zoning is a broader issue, right? So it's a quasi-judicial board, and it operates as such, and I know in order to fix what is a broken system at this point is at the state legislative, working with the legislators on this, because you put these types of issues along with the data center, and now's the time to reform that. Really, there's communities that are being targeted and not protected, and it is not reasonable to have to hire an attorney to walk in to a zoning hearing board just to go on public record, to be yelled at, where someone's attorney is yelling, objection before you could even get a full sentence out. It just goes to prove how litigious our society is, that's what we think is reasonable in our society, and I think the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania can do better. And so I look forward to reaching out and not giving up that reform can happen on that front. As it related to the project, the combination project between Conshohocken and Whitemarsh Township, I did have a question when it came to the traffic impact study. They talked about the concerns with North Lane, because that is a state road and PennDOT. What do we have any progress from the concerns there with that intersection between Butler and North Lane, and kind of the flow of traffic that way? I don't know. I really didn't get an understanding or a handle on how much of that traffic impact, besides just Butler, of what that area looks like. Because it's definitely an unsafe intersection at Butler and North Lane, when it comes to really just trying to turn anywhere there. Sight lines, landscaping, not wide enough, people trying to cut you off. So I definitely think that there's concerns, along with North Lane and people thinking that it's the Audubon speeding on that, and people trying to cross from one part of the neighborhood to another to get to parks and things like that. So Chief Ward knows how I feel about that. But I do appreciate everybody's time. And just to kind of wrap up, I think Chair Toll, you recommended at the end of last meeting to meet with the developer, and in good faith we did. We sent a certified letter. We did meet with him.
We were flexible with our schedules. He, came back to us and told us what day was better for him, and we worked with him, met with him. Nothing new was presented to us. He presented the same thing. So in good faith, I know the right thing is to try to continue to dialogue between now and September. I know I'm probably not his favorite person, and so maybe someone else in the community might have a little bit better luck, but, and we're not trying to do it with one person, we're trying to do it collectively as a community, so that people's voices really are being heard, and trying to make sure that no one's speaking on behalf, because it really is a community. So in good faith, we will try to strive to make some progress before September, because I know there's a lot of folks here that have concerns. And my last that I couldn't find on the website, if there are ethical concerns with the zoning hearing board, like who do we work with? Is it the Board of Supervisors and the supervisor that is the liaison? Is it the township manager? Like, where do you go when you have ethical concerns? I couldn't find a clear answer.
We'll take it under advisement.
Yeah, we'll take it under advisement. I don't have an answer for you right this minute.
I mean, right, is it like in a bylaw somewhere that I have to like dig into, like at a legal library, or will someone get back to me? Like, I just don't know I don't know where to go.
Well, you go to the Board of Supervisors.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Do you want to?
But if you want to discuss it and have it as an agenda item, you have to request that it's got to be an agenda item for there to be a discussion. Tonight is you're making public comment, you're pointing out that you have these issues. The board is taking that into consideration, they're aware of that.
Okay.
This board appoints the members of
Yes.
the zoning hearing board. So this is where you come with a...
So I'll email...
It's about the members of the zoning.
If you'd like to send an email to Craig.
Yes, and request to get on the agenda so that it's a formal topic.
And or just an email to Craig with that question and copy me on it.
Yeah, maybe you get your answer.
Okay, thank you. All right, thanks for everyone's time.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, is there any board comment? All right, I just want to, before we adjourn, I just want to announce that we had executive session on July 23rd, July 27th, August 4th, August 11th, and August 13th regarding personnel. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good night, Whitemarsh.